Welcome to the Pot.Live podcast. I'm your host, Lenny G. This podcast is all about connecting the community with the thought leaders of business and entertainment in the cannabis industry. As this industry expands and becomes more and more mainstream, we want to educate and entertain our listeners and become your choice and voice for all things cannabis. Thanks for joining us and enjoy the show. Have you visited MJ.com? MJ.com is the online destination where you can find everything you need to know about the emerging legal marijuana industry. Where else can you find the latest original content, news, and trends? Connect to a local doctor to obtain your medical marijuana card, receive exclusive brand savings, and have your favorite product delivered straight to your front door? MJ.com has it all. Go check them out. Welcome to another episode of the Pot Live podcast. I'm your host, Lenny G, and today we definitely have a unique couple of guests. They are Josh and Stephen Cobos. They run the company called Dolce Foglia, and as a nice Italian boy myself, I believe that means sweet madness, but we'll get into the origin of that. Dolce Foglia is a full-service flavoring house dedicated to helping businesses create unforgettable products that appeal to all kinds of consumers. Gentlemen, welcome to the show.
Thank you for having us.
Awesome. So this is a unique one. I haven't had a company like yours on the show before. So let's, Josh, let me start with you. You are the COO, and I believe your father, Stephen, as you said off air, was the CEO, if I got that right.
Correct.
Why don't one of you give us the background of how you got into this industry?
Okay, so we come from a pharmaceutical background. We had pharmacies and we were licensed in about 26 different states. We compounded and manufactured the bulk of our products. And about a couple of years ago, the opioid epidemic got so bad that we felt we wanted to get out of the pharmaceutical business and get into something a little bit more homeopathic. And that's where we thought about cannabis, because we're all, frequent cannabis users, and we felt this is something that could potentially be something great in the future. So that's when we decided what avenue of or what sector of cannabis could we get into. And a few years prior to this, we actually created a energy drink, a flavored energy drink for China, and we couldn't get the flavor right. So I remembered one of my best friends, who happens to be one of our partners today, Fabio. His father-in-law was a chief flavorist for some of the largest flavor companies in the world, like IFF,
Sanofi,
PepsiCo, Pfizer,
DuPont.
Very large companies. So we asked him if he's able to help us with this blueberry flavor trying to get for China, and we sent him the product unflavored, and he made us 3 different samples, and they picked sample number 2, which they loved, and it was a big success out there. So after that, we remembered that this is potentially something we can do. And since we like cannabis, we don't like the smell and taste of cannabis. It's not for everyone. And we noticed a lot of the edibles out there don't really taste that great. So we thought this potentially could be a new sector for us, focusing flavors just for cannabis and CBD products. So we contacted Ed Vanderloo, who's now partner and chief flavorist. And he said he loved the challenge. He's never worked with cannabis in the past, but he has a couple international patents that he created for sweeteners. And he's got some other products he's created over the years that are proprietary in regards to flavors and blends. So we flew him out here from New Jersey, and we actually did a whole session for 2 weeks of making different kinds of edibles and incorporating his flavors into the edibles and vapes and pre-rolls and things like that. And he actually hit a home run. It was perfect. We could get rid of the smell and taste of THC. We actually even tried it on trim to make pre-rolls, and you can actually smoke the pre-roll with banana or any flavor that we have, and it'll mask the smell and taste of THC. You'll actually taste the banana in your mouth, and when you smoke, will actually smell like the banana as well. So he did an amazing job, and we were able to do some really strong edibles with his flavors, and you won't even taste the THC. So hence we decided, let's open up a company, and this potentially could be something great for us. And we spent the last year and a couple months just creating flavors, a library of different flavors, which we have about 26 different flavors currently right now.
Yeah.
Most of them are oil-based, which are probably the better ones and the stronger ones, and they're also multifunctional, meaning that you can put them in vapes, you can put them in pre-rolls, you can put them in edibles, gummies, it doesn't matter, candy, chocolate, whichever. So it's very user-friendly. We launched our company in March of 2020, and that's basically how we started. That was the beginning.
You picked a incredible time to launch a company.
I know. Who knew? A year and a half ago when we first started, we didn't know that this would happen. It was just a fluke, but it is what it is.
But it also gave us a lot of time to work with manufacturers during that time to actually one by one take on every product that they had and perfect the formula on it, so that when they sent it out, they were able to capture repeat customers during the pandemic. I mean, you saw cannabis sales like skyrocket during this pandemic, and we were able to help our manufacturers really capture new customers and then long-term customers, which is our main focus.
So explain for maybe some of the newbies out there, or even connoisseurs of cannabis products. Obviously, edibles is self-explanatory. It's a flavored edible, tastes almost like a candy. Tell everyone what the experience is like when a flavor is added to a vape or a pre-roll.
Yeah, people are like totally shocked. They've never tasted or ever experienced anything like that. Although you can find pre-rolls and vapes that say that they're flavored, it really doesn't taste like the flavor. Ours will completely mask the flavor, so they're completely shocked.
Yeah. They start talking about how they can taste a full bouquet, and this one tastes like a Laffy Taffy banana since they had a kid, or this one tastes like a green apple or a pineapple habanero. I mean, it's crazy what we can do with these flavors.
Wow, that's interesting. All right, so let's just do a little mock process review. So let's pretend I own a cannabis line and I don't have any flavored cannabis. So I come to you, and what happens?
So first we talk about, what your goals are and what kind of, products you're looking to launch and what you want to stand behind. Because I think what makes a successful product is someone who's really raving about their own product, something that they love themselves. We go into the different categories: hard candies, gummies. We're talking about chewing gum as well. We sit there and we formulate, we'll make sample batches. And when they feel like, oh my God, this is it, I can market this, then that's when we start moving into the different phases. And we also teach them about ROI. The cheapest way to get into the edible category is hard candies and then gummies. And then after that, it starts to become, now we've got the cash flow to produce the different categories we want to get into.
So they create the flavor. I mean, they decide what flavor they like after testing. Now, do they send you the product to add the flavor to, or do you send the flavor to them to add to their own in-house product?
No, we actually go to their facility. We work with their staff and we incorporate our flavors, and we show them how to incorporate the flavors at the peak levels. On edibles, you have to be really careful because most of the flavor evaporates when you're cooking hard candies or gummies. So you want to introduce the flavor at the lowest temperature possible, and that will keep the bulk of the bouquet of the flavor in the edible.
Yeah, so
it's really important to do that.
Process is also very important to how you incorporate your flavors.
And is there any different shelf life for any of the three types of products with a flavor in it versus without a flavor in it?
Not really. It's about the same lifespan.
Yeah,
roughly about a couple of years.
Yeah,
normally. Yeah.
Okay. And so, all right. So tell us, how did you get the Italian? I believe you have an Italian name, Dolce Foglia, or how did you come up with that name?
Well, Fabio, one of our partners, he's from Argentina originally, and we've known each other since we were 13 years old, but he speaks Italian, Spanish, French, and a few other languages. He came up with the name Dolce Foglia, which means sweet leaf in Italian.
Oh, sweet leaf. Okay.
Yeah.
It also translates to sweet madness, actually.
Oh, really? I like either way.
Yeah.
Which is pretty good as well. But yeah, all right, cool. Yeah. Awesome. All right, so tell us, all right, you launched in March of 2020. Obviously, this has been an insane year for everyone, no matter what industry you're in. Tell us how it has affected you speaking to businesses or onboarding clients. What is your experience like? Just maybe you can share some advice for people that might be starting businesses out there.
We do a lot of phone calls, Zoom meetings because of the epidemic and what have you. We do have clients that like to meet in person, so we'll meet them, always wearing our masks and making sure that we're covered up correctly. But that's it. We've done a lot of emailing, cold calling, a lot of things like that just to get our foot into the door. Mm-hmm. It's worked so far. Yeah.
And have you, as father and son team, you described that you had a previous business? Was that together as well, or was that separate and now you collaborated on this business?
No, that was together as well. When I first started in pharmaceutical world, I was only licensed in a few states. And when Josh, Levi, and Max joined me, they got me into 26 different states within a couple months, which is amazing. So they really helped spearhead the growth of the pharmaceutical business. And we thought it was a great success. Let's do something in a different sector. And so we're applying the same ideas because we did mass production. We were working 7 days a week, double shifts, just to produce the medication that we needed to fill all the prescriptions we had. So we're applying those same ideas towards cannabis. And also we're very regulated in the pharmaceutical world. So we've incorporated that into our practice of flavoring and working with others and what have you. So we've applied a lot of the skills we've learned in pharmaceuticals in the cannabis world.
And are you strictly concentrating on cannabis companies now, or you're working with non-cannabis products still, or no?
We're doing cannabis and CBD. That's our main focus. There's no other flavor house out there that's just focusing on cannabis and CBD. A lot of the larger flavor houses are staying away from cannabis because of the negative connotation. I guess they'll get into it once the feds make it legal. But currently, we're one of the only ones that I know of that are focusing just in this sector. Although we do have, we're working with one company that wants to create a THC beer beverage. So we're working with one company that's doing that. We're getting into that area. But so far, we're focusing just in this sector for now. Although we can do anything.
Yeah, we've been approached about tequila and sake flavoring as well, which is also equally exciting. But right now, we want to get our foot, it's a solid foundation here in the cannabis industry.
And you don't have to, you don't fall under the regulation. You're not touching the plant really. You're really just a flavor house, like you said. So you don't have to worry about banking restrictions or business restrictions in any way, do you?
No, correct. Yeah. And also state lines or country lines. It doesn't concern us whether a company is in Colorado or
in Amsterdam.
It doesn't matter. We can go anywhere and work with them.
Yeah, that's great. So you don't have to worry about a lot of those things, because a lot of the guests we have on here are obviously touching the plant, and they have so many hurdles and obstacles that you don't have to deal with just until everything's federally regulated. So that's pretty cool. That's great. You have no limit basically to where you're located or what your business does within the country. That's great.
Correct. Yeah.
All right. So I know you just had a feature released on MJ.com about your company, and for those of you who haven't read it while you're listening to this, one of the questions was, share some things that you wish someone told you before you started this business. Could you guys, maybe each of you, give us a story or something that you didn't expect that you overcame, or something that worked out perfectly, or maybe it didn't work out perfectly? Some story about starting a business for our listeners.
So when it comes to starting a new business, especially in cannabis, you're met with so much, the same force that's leading the legalization. There's an equal force meeting to stop it. So, advertising your business is very difficult. Google, Facebook, Twitter, they're all pretty open about not, marketing your brand and product. So you have to find very unique ways of doing so. It's difficult to find people like us who have the science, who have the background in production and know how to curve that learning curve. So I think it's about finding partners in this industry that can help you, curve that and get to market fast with the dollars that you do have. Let's see. Did I answer that correctly?
Yeah, that's fine.
Sorry, you'll edit this, right?
No, you don't need to. Don't worry about it. It's fine. We try to just give different experiences of all different business owners, whether it's a newly launched business like yourself or it's one that's been in business for a decade, because every little ounce of experience can really help someone that's listening to this that might be starting a business or looking to do business with a business like yours. So that's completely fine. So you mentioned earlier about the federal legalization, and while it doesn't directly affect you, we're recording this in September of 2020. So obviously there's a huge presidential election coming up. Now, I don't care what side of the fence you're on. That's not what we have to get into, but I was always hopeful that weed legalization would have been on the hot topic for the debates or whatever, but there's things that happened this year that have kind of pushed that aside, obviously. What do you guys foresee as far as legalization, and when and if that does happen, does that affect your business, or since you're not touching it, really you don't care either way at the moment?
I think it does affect our business. I think at that point, the larger flavor houses will start getting into it. You're talking about mega factories starting to build out, large factories in Oklahoma or Kansas where they can bring the price down to pennies. So unique branding kind of goes out the door because it's hard to compete with the pricing that they'll be able to produce. I think this is a really good time for entrepreneurs to enter the industry and to create strong brands and potentially set themselves up for being one of the big guys or an exit. For us, we're positioning ourselves to be the cannabis division for a flavor house. So we want to capture as much of the market as we can in all 14 states that it's currently recreational. And when that time comes, position ourselves as an exit and into another flavor house. So that's our goal.
Yeah, you bring up a great point because there's a lot of small businesses that have been started in the areas where it is allowed. And how are those people going to exit? They're either going to, get acquired like you're planning to do. And I hope a lot of people are successful for that, like that. Or the converse argument is, hey, when it goes federally legal and all of a sudden Philip Morris and Walmart and Uber or whatever jump all into cannabis, are they going to blow out all the mom and pop shops, right? So if you get some of that market share, like you spoke about, you become attractive for someone to actually acquire. It would be cheaper than for them trying to gain your market share. Would you agree with that?
Exactly. Yeah, we would definitely agree with that.
Yep. All right. So cool. So tell everyone how they can find out more about your company. Is it online, social media, email, whatever the best way for people to find out more about your company?
Yeah. So we're on social media, Dolce Foglia, Instagram. Our website's dolcefoglia.com. You can come visit our facility in Glendale, California. We're very easygoing family, and we love working with new clients, large and small. So.
And you mentioned earlier when we first off air that you have so many family members within the business. Why don't you just review that real quick? How many people in the family are actually working in the business?
And so I've got my older brother, Max, my younger brother, Levi, and my father, Stefan. So there's 4 of us. And then, my uncle, my dad's brother, Sydney, he's got a lab in North Hollywood, testing lab called Cala Green Labs. So it's pretty fun to have so much family into this network, as well as I have an uncle who does a lot of the marketing for our company and for other companies in cannabis. So it feels like every time I can pick up the phone and I can call a family member with ease and talk about what we're doing here, and it's really fun.
That's fantastic because I am the same way. I have my wife, my daughters who are older, not older, but older, 19 years old, that are working within our portfolio of companies that we own. And we have a great relationship that seems like you do as well. And it's just such an advantage to have that in-house because you can trust everybody that's involved. Sometimes it's very difficult when you're starting a business and you bring on partners you might not be familiar with their nuances of how they work or how their lives are. If you can really have a family business, even though a lot of people say don't do business with family, right? But when you have what you have, what seems like you have and what I have, it's a huge advantage. Would you agree that the experience has been pleasurable for you?
I think, everybody respects each other's boundaries and their roles, and that's what makes us successful as a unit. When it comes to cooking dinner for clients or making batches or getting the flavors out, we move like fast and efficiently, which makes it really fun. And every day we get better and better at it, so I love it. And I can't see myself doing anything else but this right now.
That's beautiful. That's beautiful. All right. So before we finish up, guys, why don't each of you take one side of this question? Give us something in the overall cannabis industry that you're concerned about and one thing that you're excited about. Maybe one of you each take one side of that. And I hope I stumped you. That's the best part.
I think what, is nerve-wracking is the illicit market and how everything that everybody wants in terms of flavors in the vapes, flavors on the pre-rolls, they're thinking of either banning in California and different states. It just helps fuel the illicit market. That cuts it out for everybody who's doing it right and using safe products and fueling that black market. Something that I'm very excited about is creating new categories like chewing gum, breath mints, breath strips, things that people aren't thinking of, and adding more shelves to the dispensaries. This can turn into something really, really big, and there's multi-use purposes for cannabis.
Yeah, that's great. And you're right on the black market, especially in California where you guys are. The black market still has a major share of, marijuana trade, if you will, due to the high taxes and everything. That's why I'm also hoping for federal legalization, so there's just uniform rules across the country, and each county, municipality, state can't do what they want to really hinder the people that are doing it right, like you mentioned. So that was
Yeah,
good.
they're getting greedy and a little dumb, if you ask me.
Yeah, just a little bit. Any final thoughts from either of you?
Our motto really is to work with the manufacturers and help create a better product for them. Obviously their success is our success, and that's what we love to do. Is we love to work with other people and improve the quality of their product.
That's great. Well, gentlemen, thank you so much for being a guest. It was very unique. Everyone will get all the information in the show notes. Go check out Dolce Foglia. Check out Josh Cobos, Stephen Cobos, CEO and COO. Thank you so much for joining us, and we wish you nothing but the best of luck.
Thanks,
Great,
Lenny.
thank you.
We really appreciate it.
And we will see everyone next time on the Pot Live podcast. If you are into the recreational side of the cannabis industry, yes, stoners, I'm talking to you, then thepot.com is the online and mobile destination for you. That's right, THEPOT.com, thepot.com. Where else can you find the exclusive Pot Mate of the Month? Take a pot quiz and win prizes. Scroll through hilarious memes and jokes and check out the latest podcasts, news, and trends, all while having your own profile and voice in the pot.com forum. Visit thepot.com today and get lit.